Well, the sun is shining and baseball is in the air. It's spring training 2006 Florida style. And today we're talking with St. Louis Cardinals pitcher Jeff Suppan, who tells us of his recent trip to the Vatican. Jeff, you recently attended a conference at the Vatican on church and sport. Tell me about that experience.
It was something that I never experienced before. One, just going to Rome, and then two, being a part of the Council of Church and Sport. You know, it was an experience where I was going there as a vacation first. Then I was invited to speak. Then speaking with Father Kevin Lixie, he told me, he made a comment that stuck out in my mind. He said, "Why don't you make this a pilgrimage for you and your wife and your family instead of just a vacation?" It totally changed my perspective on the trip and became more of a spiritual journey for me. And just being in the city, Vatican City, seeing what we saw, meeting Pope Benedict, being a part of the council, really changed my life.
How hard is it being in professional sports to practice your faith?
One of the distractions is definitely money. I mean, I think we're in a situation where we make a lot of money, and using that money wisely. I think when you're grounded in faith, you're able to use it for God's will. You're able to donate to different charities, different people, to help them out in their faiths, and I think that keeping God first really keeps you grounded.
Do you have a message for young Catholics today?
I would have to just say keep Jesus number one. I mean, I think that's the number one thing. I think when you keep your eyes on Him, although it may be difficult to make decisions, but if you keep His will in mind, I mean, I think that's the way to go. And I think to go to Mass as much as possible. One of the greatest things is the Eucharist, being a part of that and partaking in the whole sacrifice of the Mass. I say if you're able to do those things, I believe that you'll be able to make the right decisions most of the time. And also, when we don't make those right decisions, being able to, go to confession.
For Life on the Rocks cross training, I'm Michael Grimes. We're down in sunny Florida visiting with the Cardinals. Not those Cardinals, these Cardinals play baseball. And one particular Cardinal, outfielder John Rodriguez, keeps a constant reminder that God is first in his life. John, you have something written under the bill of your cap. What is that?
Just write J-Rod 53, but God is number one. And every time everybody thinks I'm smelling my hat, it's actually I'm kissing his name. Everybody's like, "Why you keep smelling your hat? What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I'm not smelling my hat," and I show them this is what I have underneath, and I give them a kiss every time. If I'm having a bad game, I talk to him. Even if I'm having a good game, I still talk to him. I praise him every day. I try to let him know that, there's times where I'm having a difficult time. If he can help me in any way to keep me positive and keep my spirits up, I would appreciate it.
Yeah. John, you said you pray before every game. What do you pray for?
Just help me with today. Thank you for giving me another day of life. Thank you, God, for giving me another day to play professional baseball. And that's all I really tell him. I really don't ask for anything. The only thing I ask for is just for him to guide me. All I can just tell the young kids is just to believe and, just work at whatever you want to accomplish in life. Just work hard at it, stay in school, and just move forward. It's easy to just give up and become what other people are, just like the drug dealers, or getting into drugs or just partying all the time and things like that. It's easy to do that. But show me a person or a young person that is trying to strive for bigger things and get out of the projects. That's where I tell you that's God's child right there.
For Life on the Rocks cross training, I'm Michael Hidalgo Grimes. York Mets are looking for a banner season, and they're looking for some help from their ace pitcher Tom Glavine, who says that athletes are role models, whether they like it or not, and they can be a positive influence in the lives of young people.
The better example you can be, both on and off the field, then the better off you're going to be. And you know, I know, having kids now, I know my kids watch sports, and I know that there are guys that they like, and they may like them for the wrong reasons. And it certainly is a good point or source of conversation for me with my kids sometimes. Hey, why do you like that guy? You know, what is it about him? And I think that too often we tend to like people or dislike people because of what they do or don't do on an athletic field versus really not knowing anything about them. And I think as a Catholic or even, you know, Christians across the board in this game, the more we make our faith known and make people know that that's what really is the driving force behind us, then that in and of itself is a great example for young kids.
What does your Catholic faith mean to you?
You know, it's become a very big part of my life, obviously, kind of the foundation of who I am and my family and what we believe in and how we raise our kids. So, you know, it's been a very big impact and a very big part of my life, and a very, very positive one.
So how does this likely Hall of Famer handle the pressure of being a big league star?
It is a game of failure. It doesn't always go the way you want it to go, and again, I think my faith in knowing that good or bad, there is a plan for me and for what I'm doing, it keeps me moving, it keeps me going in the right direction mentally, and keeps me strong, and just makes me know, like I say, that I may not always understand things, but in the end it's going to work out the way it's supposed to.
For Life on the Rocks cross training, I'm Michael Hidalgo Grimes. Today we're talking with legendary coach Tommy Lasorda, who attributes his successes to one thing, his Catholic faith.
Well, I think I have to think the key to my success, if I had any, is the fact that I'd go to Mass, and I would extend the love I have for the Lord by praying. And when you have faith in God, it helps you in so many different situations.
Coach, what does your Catholic faith mean to you?
I believe that faith in God is something special, and I've always had that feeling that God was there to help people, and God was there when you needed Him. So that's my faith. And if you have faith, then you will accept tough times in life. Tough times never last, but tough people do. If you have and can rely upon your faith, you'll overcome a lot of obstacles.
And this segment wouldn't be complete without some classic Lasorda humor.
Yeah, well, the guy said to me, have you ever asked God to help you win? I said, I've never asked Him to win. All I ever asked Him was not to lose.
For Life on the Rocks cross training, I'm Michael Hidalgo Grimes. We're hanging out with the Boston Red Sox. Today we're talking with their second baseman, Mark Loretto, who says when life throws him a curve, it's his Catholic faith that gets him through.
It's really a foundation for me in, you know, everything I do. You know, there's particularly in baseball, you go through a lot of ups and downs. For example, I got traded this offseason, which is a drastic change in your life. And, you know, I was in San Diego living and playing there and very comfortable there, and all of a sudden I'm traded to an East Coast team. So You know, if you put your happiness and your faith in worldly things, then you're destined for disappointment. So it really gives me a sense of security and comfort having my faith as that foundation.
Do you consider athletes role models?
The key is that there's a perception that I am a role model. That you know, perception is really, it can be reality, especially for young people. You see a lot of kids in the stands here, and I think it's a great opportunity, not only an obligation, but it's a great opportunity for players to make an impact by just simple things, simple words of kindness and compassion, and to let these people know that, you know, we're human just like everyone else.
For Life on the Rocks cross training, I'm Michael Hidalgo Grimes. Today we're talking with Dodger third base coach Rich Donnelly, who compares his faith journey to the baseball diamond. Take a look.
I say running the bases in baseball is like life. You know, you start out at home. You're born, and you're usually born into the faith, and then you run to first base. Your parents, they take you down the road at grade school and high school. And then for some reason, when you get to high school or beyond, now you're at second base. And it's ironic that second base is the furthest away from home you are on a baseball field, on the bases, and also in your life. And when I was at second base, I was way away from home. Then as you go to third, you start to look up and see the third base coach, which I do now, and I get to wave guys back home to where they started. And in life, that's what you do. You start at home, you go to first, you go to second, you see everything out there, then as you round third, you look back, and where you want to be was where you were. And that was home. So you get to go home again. So it's a great analogy.
And Coach Donnelly has made his own journey home back to his Catholic faith.
I was on my way back and wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and a lot of peer pressure being in baseball. And I had a daughter in 1993. My daughter Amy, 17 years old, got a brain tumor, and 1 year later she passed away. And that was like the final deal to say, hey, stupid, wake up. You know, I always say there's two kind of people, that those that are humble and those that are about to be. And I was about to be. And I always tell, as I go around the country speaking, I always tell the kids, it shouldn't take something like that to wake you up. But in my case, I was so far gone the other way that that's what I needed. And since that has happened, why I feel like, I mean, I'll be 60 years old this summer, and I feel like I'm 15 as far as my faith, because I'm back to where I was before. I'm very passionate about it. Love going to Mass as often as I can. Love everything about the church. And I asked the Lord, I said, put people in my life that'll make me stay close to you, and He has.
For Life on the Rocks cross training, I'm Michael Hidalgo Grimes. Today we're talking with a young Dodger prospect, Ethier, who's not afraid to wear his faith on his sleeve.
You know, I'm not going to overimpose anyone with it, but, you know, if people ask me, you know, on Sundays, why you always come dressed up, you know, it's either I'm coming from church or I'm going to go to church following the game, so, you know, I'll wear it on my sleeve as much as I need to.
How hard is it being in professional sports to practice your faith?
For me, it starts with, I guess, you know, probably the most basic and simple is going to Mass every Sunday and making a point to do that. And, you know, spring training's a little easier, but once the season starts kicking along and you're on the road sometimes, you know, it's really, it takes a little more of an effort and dedication to get up, you know, on that Sunday morning. You know, usually Sunday morning, especially in the minor leagues, you play at 1 o'clock games every day, so there's not much time after the game, so you usually have to get up for that, you know, 7:30 or 8 o'clock Mass, and, you know, it's just making really mindful note in your head to say, this is a point that's going to, really help me out in my faith and, and my dedication towards this.
Do you have a message for young Catholics today?
And, the faith won't lead you wrong. It's led me right the whole way, and, I still go to church every Sunday, and I love it, and, I'm glad to be involved. I'm glad I can be a part of that Catholic community.
For Life on the Rocks cross training, I'm Michael Hidalgo Glavine. In this edition of Cross Training, we profile Bobby Johnson, the head football coach of the Vanderbilt Commodores, who teaches his players the value of sportsmanship.
Don't too far in the air.
It's the sounds of football season in Nashville. Pads popping, whistles blowing, and coaches giving their players an earful.
Stay down, son. Stay down.
But one thing you will not get an earful of out at Vanderbilt football practice is profanity. That's because the head coach of the Commodores, Bobby Johnson, will not tolerate cursing out of the mouths of his coaches or his players.
What we would like for our players to do would concentrate on football and not react negatively to bad things or to anything else that anybody else says. There's a slip every once in a while, but I certainly think they're conscious of it, and I hear less of it off the field also.
If a player does not curb his language on the field, there are consequences such as extra running and drills. In addition to being a coach devoted to his players, Johnson is also a man devoted to his Catholic faith.
I believe what I've been taught all my life, and it's been very important in my life, and my parents, I think, raised me as a good Catholic, and I continue to enjoy going to Mass, and I think that's the thing about it. I enjoy going, so it's still just a very important part of just what I do or what I am. I'm certainly not benevolent all the time. People would say, this is a Catholic who yells a lot, but it's encouragement most of the time. Sometimes it's to correct, but I believe if we're going to do something, we need to do it the very best way we can.
Coach Johnson certainly has a tough road ahead of him. The football program has not had a winning season since 1982. But Bobby Johnson may just be the right Commodore to get this ship turned around. For Life on the Rocks cross training, I'm Michael Hidalgo Glavine. Today we talk with St. Louis Cardinals shortstop David Eckstein, a devout Catholic who has defied the odds to become a Major League star. At 5 feet 7 inches tall, David Eckstein does not look like your typical Major League Baseball player, which is not surprising considering the fact that nothing about David's journey to the majors has been typical or easy. With no major college scholarship offers out of high school, David walked on to the University of Florida baseball team. He played there 4 years and wasn't drafted until the 19th round by the Boston Red Sox. He was eventually picked up by the Anaheim Angels, where he became a World Series champion and is now an all-star with the St. Louis Cardinals.
It was a very long journey, but it was well worth all the sacrifices.
David has also had to deal with the fact that 3 of his siblings and his father have all suffered kidney failure and received transplants. Through it all, David says it was his Catholic faith instilled in him by his parents that got him through the tough times.
When I was 13 years old, my mom came up, and one of the statements she said was, you know what I mean, God will never give us something that we can't handle, and through him that anything is possible.
What is it about our Catholic faith that you really love?
I love the teachings and what it stands for. I love the way that you have to live your life correctly and be held up to standards, knowing that you're looking up to him. And I am a firm believer that you have got to, you know what I mean, if you have him in your life, you will live your life a certain way.
Do you consider athletes role models?
When I'm asked that question, I like to tell a lot of kids, you should have a role model that you can talk to every day, that you can interact with, but understanding that we do play this game and people do look up to us. I mean, I'll try to be the best that I can be, but I would rather a kid be able to talk to someone on a daily basis. But I do take that upon myself, that if a kid would like to, you know what I mean, that they're going to look up to sports athletes. And I feel that when I'm out, that I try to make sure I make the right decision all the time, just in case it's the one time someone's watching me that might be impressionable.
For Life on the Rocks cross training, I'm Michael Hidalgo Grimes.